This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program People, Every People. We're talking with our younger students that they are just finishing college about. But they're spending some time with me this summer in the family program, which you should know is kind of a grieving chamber for the country. We've had the chance to hear our people share their pain and their hurt. And they're saying it doesn't surprise them because you feel our family's all going through the same thing. But it's just that we don't talk about it in our families. Because our parents want to protect us. They're well intended, right? You're saying what? They're not protecting us by doing it that way?
They're not. We all have intuition, right? We sense that things are off even when we don't know why we sense it. And so through hiding things from children and not really addressing the elephant in the room, you ask most people and at some point they'll grow up and say, oh, I did realize this in the house, but no one ever talked about it. There are so many things that start off that start off as no one talked about it, but it became so obvious through everybody's intuition that the elephant was there. So the same hurts that your parents try to protect you from, they only end up hurting everybody because it was never talked about. We never healed from it. Everybody just reacted and no one had a chance to really take it in and pray about it and respond to it. So
Okay. You talk about your grandmother, who's very touching. You felt free to share with you.
Oh, yes. I mean, between me and my grandmother, I was there from the very beginning to her health starting to deteriorate. And even though she's a strong woman, she's still here today, thank God. I was able to sit down and talk to her this morning. It's, how do I say? For her, it was something that she felt as though that she had to carry by herself. Even though me and the rest of my family were there to witness it, like she never,
But why did she feel comfortable sharing with you?
because I always sought out to hear exactly how she felt.
And
Or,
what made you want to do that, Kennedy?
well, because I always knew that it had to be hard on her. Seeing yourself start to deteriorate over the years, not being able to do what you once were able to do before, it to me made me feel so, I have to go out and make sure that she knows that there's someone here who understands both. Yes, you may not be the person that you were before, but I'm here to help you become the person that you want to be later on. And through that, it made my connection between me and her grow even more. And through that, there was always just a sense of, yes, we may come from different generations. Yes, I may not have the same experience that you have or are going through right now, but at the end of the day, we are people who both know that without any emotional support or without any hard or tough conversations, there's no space for growth.
In fact, that happened a little bit because when the gentleman shared that having a chronic disease where he now realizes certain things he did yesterday, he cannot do today. Then he started to cry. And that day was his 3-year-old's birthday. And then his brothers came in. I think you imply, Kennedy, that it's painful, they were talking in a beautiful way. They just say we have learned to talk. And a hush came over the room as if they weren't solving anything, but because they learned to talk, they were now living, even though the pain is still there. Did you follow that?
Mhm.
Why does talking help?
because at the end of the day, we're all hurt and we're going to be hurt again. We cannot stop hurt. We cannot change the hurt. What happens, happens. And so the least we can do is how we talked about courageous love. It's committing to healing each other because that's the best we can do. It's the commitment that I can't change the situation. I can't make you happy and give you eternal happiness. I'm not God. But if the best that I can do for you is to be here with you and struggle with you so you know you're not alone, that I can laugh with you because there's healing in laughter. I could cry with you because crying is healing too. That in itself can help.
Remember the visiting therapist from Colorado? Remember what she said? You can bear what you share. Kennedy, what did she mean?
Well, what she
You
meant by
can bear what you share.
I mean, I think what she meant by that was the more expressive you are about how you're doing, both mentally and physically, to people around you who care about you and wish nothing but the best for you, it gives you more leeway to not only feel comfort, but to also recognize that things aren't as bad as you initially would thought.
It's beautiful. You know, Freud talked about a father and a son, and they were talking, but the lights went out. And the dad said, son, don't let's continue talking. He's a little boy, only 4. And the lights are out. Let's go to sleep because no point talking in the dark. Little boy said, but daddy, when you talk to me, the lights always go on. She said, when you share even the dark or hold hands in the dark, the lights go on. Couldn't help from thinking of the Bahamas and BPL. That's not the light. The real light is our ability to be with, share, and talk with each other. Why don't we just do it? Sit down and just like did with his grandmother, you and your family, and just talk.
It's not what we know, and it is directly against the culture that we live in.
Now you touched me because you said your dad died. What year he died?
2011.
Oh, yeah, right. And then your grandfather was like your surrogate father. He died when?
Last year in August.
So you had a double whammy. So how did you catch yourself or catch your bearing after that double loss?
Well, my first thought that brought me on my healing journey was, it's happened and it's done. He's dead. That's life. Where I'm gonna die, everybody's gonna die at some point. So the first part is accepting that I'm experiencing something I need to heal from. And something sad has happened. I have to cry when I need to cry. I can't hold it in. I have to talk about it. I have to be reasonable about it. And I have God. Through everything, God is there. God was there before he passed. God is here now, and God is not going anywhere. And that's something that we can say, that even though life is fleeting, God will always be here. And so I took everything that I had experienced as a present. I can't look at where I want to be 10 years from now. I'll take what I have now. Right now, I have my tears, I have my sadness, and I have God. And I have my Bible. So I pray, I cry, and that made me feel better today. And then when tomorrow comes, tomorrow I have my Bible, I have God, I have my tears, and I cry. I pray, and I feel better, and it just gets me going throughout the week.
It's beautiful. So you have the pain, the loss of your father and grandfather, but your faith is sustaining you.
Mm-hmm.
Kennedy, I mean, we're a very, I guess, Christian country or religious country. She said her faith sustains us. Can we develop a more sustaining faith, or do you feel that it's working for us now?
I feel as though, like, just as you said, Deja, like God was going to be there for you. I mean, God was there for you before and after. And for this country, I always feel as though God is always going to be present in our lives, but we actually have to seek him out in order to feel the comfort that we need to handle various things. Because, quite frankly, I always felt as though God was always there, just hiding in the corner. Like, you always knew he was there. He always wanted you to come and find him. But he's never going to force you to come and find him. You have to find him on your own accord. And by doing so, you come to realize that, yes, there's a lot of hurts in our country. There's a lot of hurt in our homes. There's a lot of hurt in our minds. But with God, just like you said prior, He's that hand in the darkness that you can grab on, and He can lead you toward the light. And in my personal belief, this country needs to embody that without Christ, you're never going to be able to advance in regards to life, to spirituality, and more importantly, for your soul.
That's interesting because a lot of people say the young people are not interested in the religion of the country. But both of you just said that one of your anchor issues in your life is faith in God. So it's so beautiful to hear young people say that's an anchor issue for me. So that does mean we have a head start if we can get our faith together in our country? Because we got a lot of churches nearly on every corner. So what's missing then? Why can't the church bring in people what you guys experience it when you just like to talk real time, hurting. Why can't we make the faith more practical, like you guys are saying, and make it? Let's stop being hypocritical. Let's talk. I'm hurting.
Yes.
I'm suffering. I can't make it.
Yes, but the thing is, just like I said prior, like yes, God is there. He is there with open arms, ready for you to come into Him. But the thing is, you can only do so much by just leaving it to God. Not to say that God isn't going to be there to like lead you through the way, but more so that you have to put in the work as well on your end in order to get to where you need to be. Because say, for example, I'm going through something that has honestly and really destroyed me. Yes, it's easy to say, you know what, I'm just going to leave it all to God and just hope and pray that He finds a way for me to make it through this. And yes, He's more than capable of doing so. But the thing is, you have to also work for yourself at the same time. So just as you said, like, yes, we have all these churches available, you have all these groups available. If you don't direct yourself to these churches, to these help groups, you're not going to be able to actually get a grounding for yourself in order to get back up.
You know, one of the interesting things is that, because we're a small country, we feel a lot. We go to a funeral nearly every week if you want to. Everything is overt. The hurricanes are there. And so in our small country, trauma is very real. You see it all the time. And so in some sense, when we have a lot of hurt, there's a lot of grieving going on. Now, the issue is that you can only grieve as deep as you love. You can only love as deep as you grieve. So in some way, then, grieving and loving are kind of connected. But if you don't grieve or can't grieve, it means that just like grief has two poles, a sadness pole, it also has what? Anger pole. So if you don't deal with the sadness pole, you drift down to what? The anger pole. So blocked grief produces anger. If the anger increases, it then produces shame, where I don't like myself. Self-hatred aimed at me. When I don't like myself and become more angry, I then start to want to destroy myself in some way, drink too much or hurt somebody, or destroy somebody else. Now, we've seen the results in our country, how people, even in love relationships, are being destructive to each other. But the saddest thing, we now have a really taste of intra-family violence. Our first murder this year was a young man killing his father. Then a younger brother killing his older brother. And we had one recently, the same kind of thing. And so families are experiencing this powerful destructive violence. How do we deal with that? Because this could be also saying, because we're shamed and we're hidden, it implies I want to be hidden, I don't want to be known. I don't want my stuff known. But as you said, Kennedy, it comes out anyway. So one of the issues for us is, why not grab it and let's talk about it and deal with it?
Like I mentioned before, it is this culture. There is a way to heal it, of course. The way is, we have to accept that grief is okay and everybody is grieving. There's nothing wrong with grief. There's nothing shameful about grief. Allow yourselves to grieve. Share the grief with your family, because we can't heal from things that we don't even know we need healing from. So we have to allow that openness to be there first. We have to have an open mindset to, like we mentioned, welcome God in your life, welcome the pain in your life, know that it's there, it's a part of you, it's a part of your story, and that, again, your family is a part of your story too. You're all experiencing it together, and allow yourselves to heal, to grieve, to talk, to cry, and just don't allow it to be a shameful experience, because grief is normal. It's not shameful.
Kennedy, do you feel that us men have a harder time expressing our grief or shame?
Oh yes, definitely. Because
I'm fine. Couldn't be any better. I'd have to apologize. What's that?
I mean, for me, interesting enough, I just had a conversation about this the other day. The male Bahamian population, we have a drastic issue when it comes to hypermasculinity.
Hyper what?
Masculinity.
Hypermasculinity.
Yes.
That's like you, a real man.
Oh no, I do not fit that bill at all. Because I would say that bill more so fits, the ideal male stereotype of, oh yes, I'm a man. Yes, things may happen in my life, but I'm not gonna sit down and be sad about it. I'm just gonna try and power through it.
But that's
by
part
any
of the
means.
grief.
Exactly.
Same things are always happening. And if you block the grief, then you got to revenge. You got to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else.
Exactly. And that is something that, quite honestly and truly, is going to be more and more detrimental as time goes on in our country. Because a lot of young men, some men around my age, they don't have the means to fully accept that, they're hurt by something, even though it may be something that affected them years ago. And they carry that on their shoulders, but they never address it until, just like we said prior, a situation comes up, arguments start to flare out.
And the gunshot goes off.
Precisely.
Again, and again, and again. Your point is going to keep going off until we decide, let's work this thing, let's talk our stuff out, reduce our arousal in us, and then we can have conflict resolution.
Yes. But the drastic issue is that a lot of males in our country automatically feel as though if they even try to express themselves in a positive way that doesn't have to resort to violence or cussing or anything like that, they view themselves as soft. And they're scared that other people will see the same thing that they see.
Deja, what do you think of what Kennedy is saying? That males are afraid if they talk too much with you guys would think they're soft. So they're going to be macho.
Like you said, it comes back to the idea of our culture of what we believe masculinity is. Now, I'm speaking from a woman's perspective, right? But I believe that the culture of masculinity means strong and physically strong is considered, a part of that is considered to be nonchalant, but we don't consider emotionally strong in that idea of masculinity. And if they do consider it emotionally strong, means I don't cry. And well, anger for some reason is more accepted amongst men than sadness, and so that's the common resort.
So men like the anger side of grief. They get angry because they feel empowered by anger. The sad part of grief makes them feel
Soft.
feminine or soft. Wow. That's why men don't cry. Real men don't cry. But you're saying that's a lie.
I would say it's the truth.
Because you saw two men crying Saturday.
I mean, yeah, but when you look at those two men on Saturday who were actually allowed to, in an open space, express their emotions, a lot of other men in this country don't have that. More so in terms,
Yeah, but you're coming back.
but yes.
Although America would grab you guys, or Canada. But I hope you see, you have the diagnosis now. You're going to be qualified. You can treat it.
Yes.
If you want to, but we don't have the big bucks that you guys can get offered in America.
Oh,
They'd love you in America. They'd love you in Canada. But I don't know what you saw. I mean, it was Saturday afternoon, right? The room was filled. I wasn't selling sex. I wasn't selling alcohol. I wasn't selling dancing or music. It was a people what? Helping people grieve. I mean, didn't that encourage you? I had to lock the door. A woman said if I had locked it, she's going to break it down. What's that? So I can't get discouraged. So I hope you see that there are people, you say you have the diagnosis, but I think they're asking for some kind of help. Can you imagine if we had a family group in every church? We could change the Bahamas in this. What did you guys think of that? Oh, there's no money in it. I know Kennedy and Deja, but you could change the Bahamas. People want. I mean, it was packed. Tonight I go to Camp Road. Be back again. People want help, and I don't know. Can we not hear them and say, let's create more?
Well, yeah, so I definitely feel so we could.
Huh?
I definitely feel so that we can.
And that's what I wanted you guys to get. That yes, we have our issues. People diagnose it all the time. But I'm going to tell them that people are banging at the door to get on my programs. These are free and they want them. And so if you can create this mousetrap that people can learn what you're talking about, we could heal on it. It's not going to happen politically. It's not going to happen even economically. But people could work on their heart. Because what you share, you can share. Isn't that beautiful? We're going to take a break and be